Did you know that even the brightest stars have shadows that chase them? The interviewer's question lingered in the air like smoke, almost as if he didn't expect her to answer. Rihanna, her gaze steady and unyielding, simply smiled. It wasn't the rehearsed, camera-ready smile she often gave. It was a tired but determined expression that spoke volumes. "I don't run from my shadows," she replied coolly. "I face them." It all started during what should have been one of the most triumphant weeks of her career. Rihanna had just launched her new album, Echoes of Freedom, a tribute to her Caribbean heritage and the countless struggles faced by her ancestors. Critics hailed it as her most personal and politically charged work yet. Songs like Chains of the Sea and Freedom Fire climbed to the top of global charts, uniting fans from every corner of the world. But not everyone was celebrating. In a quiet suburb of Charleston, South Carolina, a man sat in his dimly lit office, scrolling through social media, his lips curled into a sneer as he saw Rihanna's name plastered across every headline. Another one of them stirring up trouble. He muttered under his breath. This man, Robert Whittaker, wasn't just an average internet troll. He was a well-connected attorney with a long history of defending cases that bordered on outright racial discrimination. From refusing to represent black clients to funding questionable political groups, Robert had built his career on division. And now, Rihanna had unknowingly crossed his radar. Rihanna had always been vocal about her beliefs, but this time her stance sparked something sinister. During a high-profile interview, she boldly addressed the systemic racism that persisted in the entertainment industry and beyond. She spoke of her own experiences, being underestimated, tokenized, and criticized for being too loud or too bold. "If standing up for what's right makes me controversial," she declared, "then let me be controversial." The backlash was swift and venomous. While millions of fans rallied behind her, others took to social media to attack her. Hashtags like a boycott Rihanna trended, fueled by coordinated efforts from anonymous accounts. But it didn't stop there. One night, while Rihanna was staying at her Los Angeles mansion, her security team discovered a package left at her gate. Inside was a threatening letter scrawled in crude handwriting. "Stay in your lane, girl. We don't need your kind making trouble." Accompanying the note was a crude drawing of a noose. Despite the fear such threats could instill, Rihanna refused to back down. She posted the letter on her Instagram, accompanied by a caption that read, "They want us silent, but my voice is louder than their hate." Her post went viral, sparking outrage and solidarity from fans, celebrities, and activists worldwide. But behind the scenes, her team urged caution. "This isn't just some internet troll," her manager, Carla, said, pacing back and forth in the room. "This is someone with resources, someone dangerous." "I'm not hiding," Rihanna replied firmly. "If I stop now, they win." But her defiance came with a price. Unbeknownst to Rihanna, Robert Whittaker had taken her words and actions as a personal affront. He contacted a network of like-minded individuals, planning something far more insidious than anonymous threats. Whittaker spearheaded a campaign to discredit her. Articles accusing Rihanna of inciting division began flooding smaller media outlets. Rumors swirled that her charitable foundation was mismanaging funds. Anonymous sources claimed she was difficult to work with and abusive to her staff. The smear campaign culminated in a shocking lawsuit. Whittaker represented a former employee of Rihanna's brand, Fenty, who accused her of workplace discrimination. The claims were dubious at best, but they dominated headlines. Suddenly, Rihanna wasn't just a global superstar, she was a target. As the lawsuit loomed and the threats escalated, Rihanna found herself questioning who she could trust. She stayed up late, scrolling through texts from friends and allies, wondering if anyone close to her had been the source of these leaks. Then, one evening, her phone buzzed with an anonymous text message. "You don't know who you're dealing with. Drop the act, or we'll make sure you regret it." Her hands trembled, but she refused to let fear consume her. Instead, she leaned into the fire, ready to fight not just for herself, but for every voice that had ever been silenced. "They tried to silence me, but you can't silence the truth." Rihanna's voice boomed through the courtroom, steady and defiant. Cameras flashed, reporters scribbled furiously, and the world watched. But the road to this moment had been anything but smooth. The lawsuit against Rihanna was scheduled to be heard in one of the most conservative courts in the country. Whittaker, ever the tactician, had ensured that. His client, A former employee named Samantha Gray alleged that Rihanna had fired her due to her race, a white woman in what Samantha claimed was a pro-black, anti-white work environment. It was a calculated move designed to paint Rihanna as a hypocrite. Rihanna's legal team, led by the fierce and brilliant attorney Maria Jordan, was quick to dismantle the allegations. Emails, testimonies, and financial records proved that Samantha's dismissal had been entirely unrelated to race. But Whittaker wasn't relying on the strength of his case. He was banking on public perception. The trial became a media circus. Protesters gathered outside the courthouse, some waving signs of support for Rihanna, others condemning her. The courtroom itself became a battlefield of narratives. On one side, Rihanna, the outspoken advocate for justice. On the other, Whittaker, a man determined to exploit the deep divides in society. As the trial dragged on, Rihanna received a mysterious message from an unknown source. "You're looking in the wrong places. Whittaker isn't working alone. Follow the money." The message came with a link to a series of financial documents. They were complex and encrypted, but Rihanna's team quickly realized their significance. The documents revealed that Whittaker had connections to several dark money groups, organizations known for funding smear campaigns and suppressing racial equality movements. One name stood out: Sovereign Unity, a shadowy organization with ties to white nationalist groups. The discovery shook Rihanna to her core. This wasn't just about her. It was part of a larger, more insidious agenda. Against the advice of her legal team, Rihanna decided to go public with the information. She held a press conference, her voice unwavering as she exposed the network of hate that had been targeting her. "This isn't just about me," she said, looking directly into the cameras. "This is about every voice that has been silenced, every life that has been diminished by hate. And I won't stop until the truth is known." The revelation sent shockwaves through the media. Investigative journalists picked up the story, uncovering more connections between Sovereign Unity and high-profile figures. But it also put Rihanna in even greater danger. The threats became more personal. Rihanna's family in Barbados reported strange men lurking near their home. Her younger brother, Rajad, received a threatening voicemail warning him to keep your sister in line. Rihanna's security team doubled, and she rarely traveled without a convoy. Yet, the pressure only seemed to strengthen her resolve. "I've faced worse," she told her team one night, her voice calm but determined. "If they want to fight, they'll have to come at me with everything they've got." The trial took a dramatic turn when Rihanna's team presented the financial documents as evidence. Whittaker's smug demeanor faltered as Maria Jordan grilled him on the stand. "Mr. Whittaker, are you aware of Sovereign Unity's involvement in this case?" Whittaker shifted uncomfortably. "I don't know what you're talking about." Maria leaned in, her voice razor-sharp. "Isn't it true that Sovereign Unity funded the plaintiff's legal fees? And isn't it true that you've received donations from this organization for years?" The courtroom erupted. Whittaker's objections were overruled, and the judge allowed the line of questioning to continue. For the first time, the tide seemed to be turning. That night, as Rihanna reviewed the day's events with her team, her phone buzzed again. Another anonymous messenger. "You think you've won? This is just the beginning. We have people everywhere." Her heart raced, but she refused to let fear consume her. She turned to Maria. "They're scared," Rihanna said, a steely glint in her eyes. "And that means we're winning." "Fear is the weapon of the weak. I fight with truth." Rihanna's words echoed across social media, igniting a wave of defiance from her supporters. But behind closed doors, the fight was far from over. With the courtroom battle gaining momentum, Rihanna's team focused on exposing Sovereign Unity's full reach. Maria Jordan led a team of investigators, digging through layers of shell companies, encrypted emails, and fake social media accounts. What they uncovered was chilling. Sovereign Unity wasn't just funding legal cases like Samantha Gray's. It was orchestrating a wide, ranging campaign to discredit influential black leaders, activists, and artists. The methods ranged from smear campaigns to threats and legal harassment, all designed to maintain systemic inequality. Maria presented the findings to Rihanna late one night. "This isn't just about you," Maria said, her voice grave. "They're targeting anyone who challenges the status quo. And they're not working alone." The documents revealed connections to powerful corporate interests and political figures. Rihanna realized she was up against a hydra. Cut off one head and two more would grow. but she refused to back down. As the trial dragged on, the strain began to show. Rihanna's inner circle grew smaller as she became wary of potential leaks and betrayals. Friends she had known for years distanced themselves, fearing the backlash of being associated with her. Her family in Barbados faced relentless harassment. One night, a brick was thrown through her parents' window, accompanied by a note that read, "She's destroying everything. Make her stop." Rihanna broke down in tears that evening, but only for a moment. "I can't stop," she told her brother Rajad. "If I give in, they'll think they've won. And they'll come after the next person, and the next." Her brother nodded, his eyes filled with both fear and admiration. "We're with you," he said, "no matter what." In a stunning twist, an unexpected ally emerged. A whistleblower from Sovereign Unity contacted Rihanna's team, offering to testify in exchange for protection. The whistleblower, a former tech consultant named Emily Carter, revealed how Sovereign Unity had orchestrated the smear campaign. She provided emails, financial records, and even recordings of meetings where Whitaker and others discussed their plans. One recording sent shockwaves through Rihanna's team. "Rihanna's the perfect target," Whitaker's voice sneered. "She's loud, she's powerful, and she's a symbol. Take her down, and we send a message to all of them." Maria wasted no time submitting the evidence to the court. The revelation turned the trial on its head. Whitaker's smug confidence evaporated as the recordings played for the jury. The final day of the trial was a media frenzy. Protesters and supporters clashed outside the courthouse, while journalists jostled for a chance to cover what had become a national spectacle. Inside, Maria delivered a closing argument that would be remembered for years. "This case isn't just about Rihanna," she said, her voice ringing through the courtroom. "It's about every voice that has been silenced, every person who has been told they are less than because of the color of their skin. It's about justice, and justice demands truth." When the jury returned, the verdict was unanimous, not guilty. The case against Rihanna was dismissed, and Whitaker faced the possibility of legal action for his involvement with Sovereign Unity. The trial's outcome was a victory, but the battle was far from over. Sovereign Unity's exposure led to federal investigations, and several high-profile figures were arrested. But the organization's true leaders remained elusive, hiding behind layers of anonymity. Rihanna vowed to continue the fight, using her platform to amplify the voices of others who had been targeted. "This isn't the end," she said during a post-trial interview. "It's just the beginning of something bigger." 1 week after the trial, Rihanna received a package at her home. Inside was a single photograph, her standing on the courthouse steps, surrounded by supporters. Scrawled across the photo in red ink were the words, "We're still watching." Rihanna's eyes narrowed as she handed the photo to her security team. "Let them watch," she said. "I'm just getting started." "You can tear down a house, but you can't erase its foundation. My truth is stronger than their lies." Rihanna stood on a stage in front of thousands of supporters, her voice unwavering. The trial was over, but her fight against Sovereign Unity had only begun. After the trial, Rihanna partnered with investigative journalists, activists, and even former law enforcement to dismantle Sovereign Unity's network. She funneled resources from her foundation, hiring cyber experts to trace the organization's shadowy leaders. Maria Jordan, who had become more than just her attorney, a confidant and ally, spearheaded the legal efforts. Months of digging unearthed shocking truths. Sovereign Unity wasn't just a network of hate. It was deeply intertwined with major corporations, political campaigns, and even members of law enforcement. They had their hands in everything, from funding smear campaigns to suppressing voter turnout in marginalized communities. But the deeper Rihanna's team dug, the more dangerous the situation became. One night, Rihanna's convoy was ambushed while traveling to a charity event. A group of masked individuals surrounded her car, banging on the windows and shouting obscenities. Her security team acted quickly, but the message was clear: back off. The very next day, an anonymous video was sent to her team. In the video, a distorted voice warned, "You've had your moment, stop digging, or you'll wish you had." Rihanna refused to be intimidated. "They can threaten me all they want," she said during a meeting with her team. "But we're not stopping until we expose every single one of them." Emily Carter, the whistleblower, continued to provide critical information. She revealed that Sovereign Unity's core leadership, known internally as the Council, operated out an unassuming estate in rural Virginia. Rihanna's team worked with journalists to gather evidence and prepared a massive expose. The plan was to release the story simultaneously across major news outlets, ensuring sovereign unity couldn't suppress it. But sovereign unity wasn't going down without a fight. Just days before the expose was set to go live, one of Rihanna's trusted team members leaked the plans. Sovereign unity acted swiftly, shutting down critical servers and targeting journalists involved in the investigation. The betrayal hit Rihanna hard. This was someone she had trusted implicitly, someone who had been with her through the trial and beyond. Why? Rihanna asked when the betrayal was uncovered. The team member, a young intern named Alex, looked down, guilt written all over his face. "The promise to take care of my family," he whispered. "I didn't know what else to do." Rihanna's fury softened into resolve. "You made a mistake," she said. "But now you have a chance to make it right. Help us finish this." Rihanna and her team regrouped. They worked through the night to salvage the expose. The journalists shifted their focus, going live with what they had. The story exploded. Headlines across the country exposed sovereign unity's connections to influential politicians, CEOs, and media moguls. The FBI, under immense public pressure, launched raids on known sovereign unity locations. The Virginia estate was one of them. The raid uncovered damning evidence, encrypted files, financial records, and correspondence that confirmed everything Rihanna and her team had been saying. Several members of the council were arrested, but the organization's leader, a man known only as the architect, remained elusive. Months after the expose, sovereign unity was crippled. Their funding dried up, the members scattered, and their influence diminished. But the fight had come at a cost. Rihanna's once close circle had grown smaller. She'd lost friends, faced relentless attacks, and carried the weight of her family's safety on her shoulders. Yet, she remained unbroken. During a live interview, a reporter asked, "Do you think it was worth it?" Rihanna paused, her gaze steady. "Worth it. Look at the people who stood up because they saw me stand. Look at the conversations we're having now. The truth is messy, it's painful, but it's necessary." And yes, it was worth every second. Just as Rihanna began to feel a sense of peace, another anonymous message arrived. "The architect isn't gone. He's just waiting. Watch your back." Rihanna folded the note, her expression calm. She handed it to Maria without a word and walked onto the stage for her next performance. Her music, as always, spoke louder than any threat.